So a common practice when you make YouTube videos or documentaries or any type of video is that typically you have the A-roll or the talking head or the main subject talking, and then you have all these types of B-roll to support your presentation or the notes that you're saying. And I find that when you have a lot of B-roll footage and you have your main A-roll, sometimes it can be a little bit confusing or a little bit hard to layer that B-roll onto your A-roll footage. The most important thing is that I want to avoid duplicates, and I also want to make sure that I get all my B-roll onto my A-roll so that I don't miss any kind of clip. Now, typically there's a traditional way of doing this. I'm not very happy with the way that works out for me. So I created a new way of layering B-roll on your A-roll. Let's check it out.
Now, most Premiere users will tell you to use the source monitor and scrub through your B-roll and then put it onto the timeline. And this method I don't really like because it's not very intuitive, and it's also very hard to do when you have a lot of different types of footage. So for example, if I mark it in, mark it out, and you can use keyboard shortcuts for this. Now you can add to the timeline by using the period shortcut, and then there you've isolated your B-roll footage right over here. Now that is not a very effective method. I'm going to tell you a better way to do it. So in my footage panel over here that's synchronized, you can see I have all these folders or bins with all my B-roll categorized by type. So BenQ monitor, behind the monitor, and you would typically create a new sequence based on the footage in that bin by dragging it to this icon over here. So this is the create new sequence. The one thing I don't like about this method of creating new sequences based on bins is that it creates the new sequence inside the actual bin. So you have to go into it and then find it. And what we're trying to do is trying to create a folder structure where all your sequences of your B-roll footage is organized in the sequence folder. So in order to do a more effective way, what I prefer to do is to actually grab your B-roll bin and drag it into the timeline, a blank timeline, so like that. And you want to repeat that process with all your other folders. So what you'll need to do is drag it into a blank timeline. That means you have to close this and then drag it. And then you're going to keep repeating this. Now this is a little bit monotonous and it's a little bit hard. I wish there was a way to automate it. If you do know, please let me know in the comment section. But the nice thing about this is that if you change your folder structure to a list view, you can see that all your sequences are created right in the directory that you're in. So this makes it very easy to organize all these timelines into your timeline folder. So we're gonna hit Control X to cut them. Then we're gonna go up a directory, kind of similar to what we typically use in Explorer for Windows to navigate up a folder directory. We're gonna go into our sequences and then we're just gonna paste it in here. So that's gonna be an easier way to organize all your B-roll timeline sequences in the sequence folder. So once you're done organizing all your timeline sequences, you're gonna open them all up. And as you can see, everything is opened up. Now it's gonna be very easy to layer your B-roll onto your A-roll. So let's open up our A-roll and then we're gonna drag it down to the bottom panel. And this is gonna separate the two. So now we can easily just grab footage from here. And let's say, for example, I like this, I'm gonna cut it and then place it onto my timeline. So I hope I convinced you that this is a more effective way to layer B-roll onto your A-roll. And what's really good about this is that it's gonna help you avoid duplicates. So what you wanna do is just make, let's say you like this clip over here. You can do is just do a cut and do another cut and then just cut it over here and then paste it onto your timeline. Now, as you can see, one really annoying thing about cutting clips onto Adobe Premiere Timelines is that the track that is enabled, V1 and V2, it's always going to paste on the lower track. And Excalibur has a really good solution for this. So what I did is actually created a shortcut in Excalibur settings. So let's go to the settings. And then you can see under this one over here, Shift V, paste to highest track. So what does this mean? So I cut the clip over here. I can hit Shift V, and then right away, it automatically pastes it onto the highest available track. And this is so much better because typically when you're working up and not, you don't want to overwrite your clips. So that was a very frustrating thing with Adobe Premiere, and Excalibur solves this. So I have another tip on how to avoid duplicates on your time frame. What you want to do is enable show duplicate time frame markers. So whenever I don't have it enabled, which is the default setting, if I copy this clip onto my timeline, it's not going to show any indicator. If I enable it, you can see this blue in blue means that I have a duplicate clip. So if I do this here, it's another duplicate clip. Avoiding duplicate clips on your timeline helps keep your audience more engaged by not having repetitive content. Another thing I really like to show is cut through edit. So if I click this, if I cut it right there, we can rejoin this by simply holding Control, highlight it, and then delete it, because we know that this isn't really a true cut. This is just a continuation of the clip. So how do I enable that? Well, go to Sequence and then click this option called Show Through Edits. If I disable it, you can see that it's here. As a video editor, you'd be like, okay, well, are these two separate clips in my project, or like from my camera, or is it actually just one clip? I have no idea. So this should be enabled by default. Honestly, this saves you a lot of time. You know, it's a cut through edit. You can Control, highlight, delete. So yeah, those are just some quick side tips.
So at the end of this video, I hope I convince you that there's perhaps a more efficient way to layer your B-roll onto your A-roll. If you liked it, please do give a like. It really helps the channel, and I will see you in the next video.